Proceed, Will.
Chairman Tipton, thank you for having me here. You asked who I am. As you can see, I'm an old white man. I grew up in Louisville, went to Louisville Public Schools. I've always been good at math and was chosen for advanced math classes, but there were never any girls in those classes. When I asked how come, they said girls are not good at math. To my 12-year-old brain, this made sense. It was at least consistent with all the girls going to home ec classes to learn women's work, like cooking and sewing, while all the boys took shop. Then again, I was also taught that Europe was a source of modern civilization, that black people had no history, and that black kids in the West End of Louisville didn't deserve new textbooks or even musical instruments because they didn't know how to take care of them. Like both my parents and my grandparents, I went to college. I've got a BA in literature and a master's in computer science, served 5 years as a naval officer, and then spent about 30 years in various flavors of corporate America, such as Hewlett-Packard and Lexmark, including about 8 years as a manager. It would always bother me when we were in meetings trying to come to a decision or solve a problem when a woman would say something and the group would just ignore it. Then a few minutes later, a man would say the exact same thing, and that time people listened. I'm sure all the women on this committee have been in that situation. I tried to speak up to make sure the women the women I work with knew I valued them, especially the women who worked for me when I was a manager. These ways of ignoring and devaluing women create what we call a hostile environment. Women in these environments end up doubting their abilities or questioning whether their abilities will ever be valued. They often quit their jobs or leave school because they don't think they belong. I've also been in environments that are hostile to black people, people who are not Christian, excuse me, and gay people. Just as we call hostility towards women misogyny, we also have a name for the hostility towards anyone who is not straight, white, male, and Christian: white supremacy. Diversity, equity, inclusion supports people in hostile environments. Diversity, equity, inclusion programs for women do not give women an unfair advantage. They repair the damage done to women and to our institutions by misogyny. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs for black people do not give black people an unfair advantage. They repair the damage done to black people and to our institutions by white supremacy. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs have so far mainly benefited white women, including all the women on this committee. By creating environments that are less hostile towards women. I put myself with every man in this room as benefiting from diversity, equity, inclusion because men do not have all the answers. We need everybody's perspective. Diversity, equity, and inclusion helps us value everything that people bring into a group and recognize that that value does not just come from white men. Getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion means going back to hostility towards anybody who is not a straight white man. It means promoting white supremacy. I truly hope this is not your intention, but it is the effect. Whether or not promoting white supremacy is your intent, the open white supremacists like what you're doing. It won't be long before some chucklehead says that if he gets on an airplane and sees that the pilot is a woman, he's getting off because
Will,
she's a DEI hire.
I do apologize. Your 3 minutes are up.
Getting rid of diversity, equity, inclusion to improve schools makes no sense. It only makes sense if you want to go back to schools.
Thank you for your presentation.
This only makes sense if you're in favor of white supremacy. Thank you.